Who says money don't grow on trees?
Money don't grow on trees?
Yeah, right.
Look at those babies.
Honey, you thought that you're chasing him. You might gonna get up.
Well, we're going Huckleberry.
Every year, hundreds of customers ask me, what's a huckleberry? Well, that's $1 million question. They're these beautiful, succulent, wild Montana berries that taste like a blueberry mixed with a raspberry and a cranberry. And look, they're all over right now because I've driven to my favorite Huckleberry Mountain, which, as the old saying goes, if I told you where it was, I'd have to kill you, they say. And I've been picking huckleberries, and I've been enjoying these succulent taste treat delights that to me are the perfectly refreshing berry of God. Well, these are some hardcore hillbilly huckleberry pickers. No, you got the automatic with you. Now, what's that for, really? Other huckleberry pickers or bears, or just for the mystique?
To keep the other huckleberry pickers out of our patch.
Yeah, keep them out of your patch, huh? That'll do it, I betcha. That's, you know, some of these places I pick, there's getting to be some Cambodians coming in there and other meth heads coming in there, and yeah, you got to really guard yourself. It's a lot more than from the bears, really.
Right.
Have you ever seen a bear while you're picking?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Quite a few?
Yeah. Actually, this year, yeah, I picking 12 so far.
This year you saw some? Pretty close.
Huckleberry milkshake.
This guy's driving a hard bargain. He's wanting a milkshake for filming. Let's see what you got today. Okay. Universities have spent millions of dollars to try to domesticate the huckleberry, but they haven't been able to do it. They also need a high altitude. Some people think it's a relative of the blueberry clan, but it's actually not. It's its own species altogether. I think we better find another patch here. Now, if you Google what's a huckleberry, it'll say it's a wild blueberry. But it's not a wild blueberry, because if it was a blueberry, you could domesticate it. As it is, it's its own species altogether, but it tastes like a blueberry on steroids. What's going to happen in this video is, first I'm going to take you up in the mountains with my wife and I so that you can appreciate the time, effort, and crazy mountain roads we brave to harvest the wild huckleberries. Then I'm going to have you meet some of my pickers who do this for a living and hear from them about some of their bear stories. And finally, friends, I'm really trying to make a positive difference in my world with my YouTube channel. So if you could hit subscribe and put on the notification bell, I would appreciate it. Yahoo! Today I'm celebrating 1,500 subscribers. We're seeing a bear. Here he is. Hi, bear. Well, we're out. Hi, mister. So friends, buckle your seatbelts and enjoy this presentation of what a huckleberry is and how it's picked and harvested and the people who make their living doing this. Who says money doesn't grow on trees? It does in Montana.
Out from the top of the mountain.
I've been driving hundreds of miles into these remote mountains to get these huckleberries since I was a kid.
When we get home, I think.
Yeah, doesn't this look like it near the place where we got stranded? I think so.
Yeah. I got a lot of mosquito.
Yeah, and we were stranded with a lot of mosquito. My beloved and I were coming back from getting about $2,500 worth of huckleberries out in this remote town. This is it, honey.
Yeah.
And our wheel bearing went out right around here, and there's no cell service or anything like that. And so it's extremely, extremely remote. And we're sitting there by the side of the road. Maybe right here.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was right there. And we're sitting there by the side of the road. for hours and hours in a cramped old Ford Ranger. This is some very remote and beautiful country. There's the local fire truck. We pioneered to come and find huckleberries in this remote little town. It's so remote that the gal was telling us there was a cougar walking down Main Street and there was a bear in her front yard. What I remember is there was hardly no huckleberries around our part of the country. And when we first came into this area, we were just driving around randomly looking for huckleberries and huckleberry pickers, and we saw this hippie sort of mountain man looking dude, and we stopped up here and talked to him and asked him if there's any huckleberries. He said, man, this mountain's so full of huckleberries. And this old boy named Monte Shaw, he jumped in our truck and took us up the hill, and it's about another 26 miles to the top of this beautiful mountain that we found the best tasting huckleberries in the world.
Well, this morning I'm making huckleberry pie filling. I'm the guy that makes the filling, and my wife puts them together. And these berries here are from the mountain in Montana that I believe contain the premier tasting huckleberries in the whole world. Montana huckleberries are best out of everywhere. They got a twang. That's why we won the pie contest. They got a twang and a zip that the other berries don't have, but these berries have the flavor that is just unequaled, even in Montana. And I'm not alone in that opinion.
Rough road, plenty of wildlife. Some of my professional pickers, honey, they get these old vans because they want a throwaway vehicle. Because up here in the middle of nowhere like this, if your vehicle goes out, it can be a $900 tow bill. So look at these craters in this road. Look at this ginormous mud puddle. This is something else, man. And so instead of getting a big old expensive four-wheel drive, look at this, I'm a foot and a half down in the road. They get these old soccer mom vans that they can throw away if they ever get any troubles in the middle of the mountains like this. And one time we were coming up here, and there's my buddy Huckleberry's van, and it's just sitting over here by the side of the road. Huckleberry, I think his real name's Mark or Matt. We all call him Huckleberry. And it was just sitting there by the side of the road. When I saw him, I said, Huckleberry, oh my gosh, look at this. This is a ginormous mud puddle. I'm almost bottoming out even in this four-wheel drive through this mud puddle. And I said, Huckleberry, what'd you do with your van there? And he said, it went out, so I just left it. He just left it right there on the side of the road in the middle of the mountains. Whoa, look at this road, huh? Isn't this something? This is the kind of road that separates the men from the boys and gets you to the real huckleberry country. And then the folks come in my shop and said, what? This gallon of huckleberries is $70? And I'm thinking, yeah, right. I drive 100 miles and then 26 miles up an almost impassable mountain road to get to where my boys are picking up there, and you're complaining about the price? Give me a break. My gosh, this road needs a ATV, not a four-wheel drive. This is ATV country. What's that noise?
Do you think the truck will be okay?
Well, you're always taking a risk, honey, when you get back here, but you know all about that, sitting in the truck all night long in the middle of nowhere. Your experience, mountain woman. Such a rugged, rugged mountain man country. And look at the beautiful, dense foliage on the side, too. Look at that old baldy up there on top. Here's probably a Huckleberry picker stowaway vehicle like I was talking about. One time Mary and I were picking not so far from here, and she comes back to the truck, and this ferocious pit bull comes charging at her, and she jumps right in the truck just ahead of its bite, huh, honey?
Yeah. You almost got me, though. But I'm lucky.
Yeah, that was a real dog, man. Well, we're gaining some serious altitude in a hurry now. It's almost as good as some of them rides you go on up the fair, huh? Plenty of twists and turns, and bangs and bumps. Off to the left here is almost a sheer drop-off. Best be paying attention to what you're doing in a place like this. One slip and you could be. One of my pickers named Gabe had a steering rod go out at a place like this. They plunged over the edge and went end over end about 400 feet down the mountain. And they definitely came to church the next week, giving God thanks for being alive. Wow, look at that. Look at that beauty. It's a group of pickers. We checked them out a little, but they weren't exactly interested in selling. All those along there, along the road there, those are all huckleberries. This group of pickers we just talked to said it's kind of getting bone dry up here. Really needs some rain. Probably the price will depend on whether or not we get the rain. Look at that run. Woohoo! Here we go, baby. I think we are arrived. And this is where my friends Huckleberry and Rummy and some of these guys normally camp and pick, but I'm not seeing any of their rigs up here. Unless that was Huckleberry's rig we passed his throwaway. Let's pull right in here. We'll give it a rip. Well, here we are to the Huckleberry grounds, and I'm telling you, you don't have to look far to find them. There's plenty of berries right next to the car here. Look at that. Now the professionals will come with their rakes and rake these, but if it gets some moisture, they will replenish themselves. But you can see they're drying up just a bit. Bushes can be maybe only a foot or two tall, or these ones are about normal. Well, we'll get my bear spray packed up. Essential ingredients for huckleberry picking.
I'm your huckleberry.
Go ahead and make my day.
Honey!
I really debated whether or not I should put that clip of me pulling my .44 Magnum out in the movie, but I thought it kind of fit by Doc Holliday there. I don't want to portray this as if it's something where everybody's got an automatic rifle or is ready to fast draw their .44. But there's a lot of safe places to pick up the reservoir or up the North Fork where you see 8 families parked by the road picking a half a gallon for their freezer. But some of the places I go, it's almost like you're wandering into somebody's purple gold claim that's been in the family for 2 generations. It's a good thing to have a gun on your side, and not to mention the grizzly bears. I have been charged by a grizzly bear, and the bear didn't even blink or look to see what I was. He charged the instant he perceived I was there. They are king of the woods. They will charge. We had a huckleberry picker 2 miles from my business, right up by Lion Lake, that got between a sow and its cubs, and he said if he hadn't had a second can of bear spray, he probably would be dead. But he had a second can of bear spray, and he defended himself with only minor injury. But I'm telling you, I think you saw what my second can of bear spray is, and if push come to shove, I'm not going to die out there. The other aspect is, I am back in there sometimes camping, buying huckleberries 80 miles from the nearest policeman, and 90% of the guys are good, clean guys, but there are some guys back there that are outlaws and refugees from the law. And yeah, I take my son who can handle himself, or Jeremy McNamee, who is a black belt, but I'm not an aggressive person or a person looking for a fight, but it's good to have a little insurance in case an unfortunate incident comes your direction. Most years there's enough huckleberries to go around for man and beast alike, but on years when there's not, the bears can get very unruly, and the people can too. One of my toughest, most able huckleberry pickers, he said one year he wouldn't even go up on this mountain There were meth heads and various nationalities that were moving in on things and trying to run him off the road. And he said, man, it's not worth it to me. I've got a family. I can do other things. But me, I've got to keep a supply coming in. And I don't want to order pallets of berries from Oregon. I want the real thing. So I go up there and get them. And sometimes it's a good thing to have my little sidearm.
I don't have anything to protect myself. Oh my
I'll be
God.
always within a short hoof away.
Huckleberry bushes can be anywhere from a foot or two tall to these ones are about 3 feet tall. The berries are quite small. They look like they really need some moisture. So I'm gonna keep looking for a little more delectable, perhaps shaded patch that has some plumper berries, because when you're picking by hand, picking these little berries like that could take forever. So Papa Bear's in search of some bigger berries. Now here's a shaded spot with some berries that are a little plumper. I kind of like the looks of these. For me, they always end up right here. These ones hit your palate in every conceivable place. And the view is not bad either.
Well, what I've noticed up there in the mountains, hunting for huckleberries on steep slopes, is that they cluster in patches around the big old growth larch trees. 100, 150 footers. I look for one of those, that's my beacon, go to that, and all around is it's a carpet of huckleberries. So I think the relationship is the mycorrhizae, the little fungal filaments that grow on the roots of all trees. I think the larch ones suit the huckleberry just like truffles grow under beech and oak trees. I think it's not a parasitic, but a synergistic relationship between those species. That's what I'm seeing up there.
Monte's mountain fruit. Very beautiful. Just acres and acres of them up here. So you really just walk through the forest until you see a good loaded bush. Whoa! That's common. Until you see a good loaded bush, and once you do, you settle in to pick. There's a beautiful sight to a huckleberry picker. And when you've been picking all day, all you see when you close your eyes to go to sleep is huckleberries, huckleberries, huckleberries. I'm surprised these haven't already been raked by some of my friends. My professional friends have rakes that just come in here and pull them off like a rake situation. And some people really frown on that, but that's what the bears do. And these berries have been being raked by my buddy Huckleberry for several generations, and they always replenish themselves. I suppose a rake in the hand of a novice could be a dangerous thing, but a rake in the hand of a pro, they know how to run them through there just right without harming the bushes. There's a superabundance of huckleberry bushes and of huckleberries, but the problem that I'm having as a hand picker is that so many of them are so small that I am reluctant to park by a bush and actually go after it, because they're like the size of a tiny pea. There are also Cambodians and Vietnamese that come out here and do a gang pick on a hill. This gal next to me looks like she may be one. An area that looks like it's already been raked. So I'm gonna move back to the right where I was. It can be pretty dense too. Like right now I'm working my way through this very dense undergrowth, because in a year like this where the majority of the berries are pea size or smaller, when you go through some dense forest, you can sometimes find a branch like that that's loaded with bigger berries. Here's a good sized one in the shade that's almost the size of a dime. Somewhat addictive, because you always feel that just around the corner there's a bigger and better bush, and in this case there was. As you can see, the color and hue of these is more of a burgundy or purple. Slight variations of color. These ones are particularly blue. Some beautiful blue ones and a nice rich bush. This is how we do it, folks. Find a nice bush and go after it with your fingers as nimbly and fastly as you can. As nimbly and fast as you can, because you got to keep both hands moving. This is strictly per diem work. You get paid according to how many you pick. So off you go and just try to
get it rolling. I'm sure it's like anything where you get better with time. Me, I'm really an amateur because I'm so busy doing my business that I don't have much time to pick. But I love to do a little each year because it gives me a great respect for the 180 or so guys that are out in the woods getting me these berries all summer long as a vocation. Ooh, look at that beautiful, rich, big bush. I've come across a lot of dried out little bushes that the berry is barely bigger than a BB. But here I got down into the shade by triopsing through some thick forest myself. And I got into some good-sized berries that have been really a joy to pick. Yay! I pick is relatively steep mountain terrain, so I can get a pretty good workout just triopsing through the hills. On good years, you rarely do see a bear, actually, because they've got plenty of huckleberries to glean themselves in the areas that are a little further in than most humans would care to venture. Ooh, there's some nice ones. Some places I pick, I've been known to use a GPS, but not here because I'm just downhill from the road and it's good picking, so I didn't have to move but maybe a block or so. Ooh, look at those beauties right by the road. Well, after about 20 minutes picking, I got a pretty good little jag here.
It's innocent and it's fun and it's kind of work, but it's fun at the same time.
You have a worm in there.
Yeah, the worms like them too.
You should take it, that one. You should eating it. Here.
Well, I got the worm. Honey, open your window so I can let the worm to freedom.
Oh, no, in yours.
It'll get dead. Well, look at this beautiful place where we've been picking. It's literally in the very heights of the Rocky Mountains. That's where we came from, the very bottom of this range. I'm pretty sure if I was out of gas, I could coast to almost where that vehicle was ditched beside the road. Look at the grade on this. I'm pretty sure I know those people. I think they are a Vietnamese family. Chang Young and Bear Young from Missoula. I could be wrong. Woo! Going down quickly now.
We're going down now. We're going down.
Woo, here we go. Down the mountain cliffy road with huckleberry bushes on all sides. This place is a paradise for a huckleberry picker or a bear.
Yep, it's all huckleberries. The bear will like to stay in here.
That looks kind of like the dog that chased you. I don't think they've done any road work on this road for as long as I've been coming up here. It's just a primitive mountain road. No virus here. I think she must be right. Yep, this is the mountains, my friend. High Montana mountains. That one old salty dog up there, he looked like a real mountain man. I would have liked to have talked to him more. They're usually a little bit camera shy.
Your left side, it's look like a wallpaper.
Like a
mountain wallpaper.
Woo, this is kind of fun. Yeehaw! Partly why the pickers don't have fancy rigs, they just get beat up and scratched up and turned into a fraction of what they were worth. So how's the picking been?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad.
Nice. So you sell your own huckleberries, huh?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
$40 a gallon only? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I pay that much and I'm a huckleberry buyer.
Oh, right on.
Sometime
right
I pay more than that. Wow. Sweet. So you're the from forest to market man.
Yeah.
What's your name, my friend?
I'm Jim.
Jim. I'm Jim Willows.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So do you know Huckleberry Matt and Rummy and any of those guys that pick up here?
Yeah, I know Huck, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you haven't got any berries you want to sell today though, huh?
No, not with me, no.
Would you mind showing the people what your picker looks like? All these pros like these guys, they got nice backpacks. That's what a real pro huckleberry picker looks like. Is that a Shaw picker?
No, that's actually one that my uncle made.
Nice. Here's what a real huckleberry picker's vehicle looks like. I was telling people that you won't find any true huckleberry picker like a pro that has a fancy pickup because they just get beat up and knocked around anyway.
Yeah.
Nice.
See, it looks like a wallpaper.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, you know, you just
Can't beat the surroundings, man. To work in this beautiful wallpapered mountaintop is a joy. I feel refreshed just coming on up here. Well, I'm a tad bit late for my appointment to buy, so I'm cruising down this mountain a bit fast, which is kind of characteristic of my personality. Whee! This is fun. Mary was with me when I got a 93-mile-an-hour speeding ticket. That wasn't on a mountain road. That was in my Maxima. Uh-oh, we got some dust. That probably means we're behind a slower person. It could be another fast guy like me, but it's usually not.
hard to pass like this.
Yeah, it's hard to pass. People get kind of bitter if you spray them with some flume of dust. Yep, she's plenty dusty and not too good of a passing lane either. Nice, she's letting me by.
The people there, honey, they're staying in there.
Yeah, some of the guys just camp right up here, In fact, right down here to the right is where I went to get a guy's berries, and coming out I saw the most ginormous bear you would ever imagine. I think this is the road on which I saw the most ginormous bear of my life. We came in here, Jeremy McNamee and I, and went to the end of this road, and there was a huckleberry picker named Jim that had a nice little camp set up back in there. And coming back out, I saw, oh yeah. We went into a huckleberry picker's camp named Jim to get the huckleberries, and upon leaving, I said, Jeremy, I think there's a road up there. I think I just saw a Volkswagen Bug go by. And he said, I don't think there's no road up there. And we got there, and there was no road up there. And I thought, wow, what could have that been? Either it was a baby moose or a ginormous bear. And the next day we went into Jim's camp, and Jim said, Jim, you should have seen the size of that ginormous bear that came into the camp yesterday. And I said, Jim, whoa, I did see it. Here I am telling stories in Whitewater. We're about to paddle, Jeremy. About to capsize, and here I am telling these stories. Paddle hard, hard, hard. There we go. Whoa. So that was quite the bear. When you get somebody that lives in the mountains and says, man, you should have seen the size of the bear, you know you got a Hummer. After I bought Jim's berries, I was coming back out here, and I saw what I thought was a black Volkswagen Bug go zooming by on the road, and I said, man, did you see that, Jeremy? And he said, no, I didn't. Remember anything about that story, Jeremy? The bear story?
I don't really remember too much else about it other than what you pretty much said.
Mister, right?
It's a great way to beat up your truck. Oh my gosh. Oh. like a Kelly Huck. As bad as this is, I've been on much worse huckleberry picking. One time we did go around to Kelly Hump and onto this Forest Service road that had about 8-year-old saplings on it that were about 7 feet high, and we just went right down the road with an old truck like that guy had. Woo. Oh my gosh, look at this. Can you imagine in a good rain how much water would be in that mud puddle?
I'm the one need to adjust. Because he got my spot.
You sure did, huh? You got a pretty good scratch job, and so did I. But this is a pretty nice truck to be scratching up on the mountain, don't you think?
They're just a tool.
Huh?
They're just a tool.
Just a tool, yeah.
But they freeze quickly and nicely that
But
way.
you don't do the cookie sheet technique.
No,
that some
we
of these
don't have
guys
enough
do.
space. I mean,
Yeah.
we just, you know.
Right. Well, I've been able to score a few here. Nice, beautiful.
Picker called the Bob Miller picker. Okay, so Bob Miller picker, and he worked a lot of years on it, getting exactly the right spring steel, the best type of solder. He only used one type of coffee can, a certain type of handle.
Wow, he
the
got it
glue,
really
everything. He
perfected.
had it down to a science. At
A
the
lot
end.
of these guys seem to use the spokes from bicycle wheels. Is that what he used?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you this: when I was a young man, I regularly picked 26, 28 gallons a day with one of those Bob
With
Miller
one
pickers.
of those Bob Miller.
And 3 times in my life, I picked over 30 gallons in a day.
And a lot of those guys swear by the Shaw picker from Old George, but you like the Bob picker
Yeah, I
better.
don't like those Shaw pickers. They're stiff. To me, they hang up and they tear up the plants.
Yeah.
Again, they're not good enough spring steel. They're too rigid.
Yeah. That's a good day, 30 gallon. Yeah.
I never picked that again after the last time because it took so long to clean that I actually lost money. If I stayed with 24 or 25, I could clean and get out the next day. If I picked over 30, I couldn't get it done.
Now, do you know anything about Old George Shaw? I heard he was chief of an Indian tribe around here.
You know, that sounds a little Pocahontas-y to me.
So this is Kyra, and boy, her husband makes some beautiful berries and puts them together really, really nice. I guess he really set up a great chute system, huh?
Yeah, it's actually my father-in-law's that he's been using since the 80s. One of the old Huckleberry guys taught him how to make one with guitar strings, and they run it down so the huckleberries trickle down, and then it's got like 3 areas, and then it lands in the bottom, and then you just have a few little leaves to pick out, and then
Wow, with guitar strings. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's about this long, and it goes down, and then it comes into one area and then another area, and then we just clean the final little things out, and you probably won't find one stem or leaf in the whole
Isn't
bag.
that awesome? Now, a lot of times what I've done with my berries is get that construction cloth. It's 3/16 inch holes, and it works reasonably well for shoots, but you guys found a way to make it even better.
We did. It's really nice.
Well, it looks like it works really great.
Will you hurry up?
This guy's ready. He looks like he might be a huckleberry picker. Have you ever picked any huckleberries? Yeah? Are you pretty good at it? You look like you might be a good wrestler too.
He wrestles too.
Does he wrestle too?
Yep.
See, I can spot a wrestler when I see it. Now, this truck doesn't have near enough scratches to be a huckleberry truck. You must take something else.
It's been a Huckleberry truck this year.
Well, these guys just came back from right where we were at, and they were saying, well, where were you picking at? And I said, well, you know, you really don't tell, but somehow it came out, and we were all picking on the same spot. This guy, tell him what you just said. Who says money don't grow on trees?
Money don't grow on trees?
Yeah, right. Money don't grow on trees. This guy, it's his first year, and man, he's a natural. He's been bombing them in.
Loving it.
The really awesome thing is yesterday we were up there and it was just bone dry and the berries were really small because of it. And my wife and I just prayed in the name of Jesus for a good, strong, gushing rain. And these guys just came from there yesterday and they said, man, they had a good rain last night. Wow! Thank you, Lord. Today we are making our unparalleled sugar-free huckleberry spread. This is the most amazing product in the industry because there's no aspartame, no artificial sweeteners of any kind in it. We only sweeten it with ground up peaches and ground up pears. We've been grinding them up all morning. And this is the only product. We grind up 8 gallons of huckleberries and put in here too, so that the huckleberry flavor merges with the ground up peach flavor, and it's just out of this world.
I was trying to work out what's the name of a professional huckleberry picker, and I think we must be hucksters because we're picking hucks all day. So I'm working as a professional huckster.
Beautiful berries, Jeff, and great big. These guys are some of the best.
You should have seen him on the bushes, though.
Yeah.
Because he went down this little ravine, like just not very far, probably near your till, and he went down, and I followed him. But I looked over, and I'm like, I call it the yellow brick road because we had the stump, and I built steps, so there's a step area. There's the yellow brick road, then the water spot, all come together. But he went down, it was just like bushes like this hung in the other bushes. Just,
wow, just hanging there, huh?
Nice him right there.
That's
3 or 4 scoops, you got almost a gallon.
Jeff's been picking for me for about 32 years.
A 2-year-old can do it, but when you're older, you can do it faster.
Well, here I am with some of the huckleberry pickers that have been keeping me supplied all year long. There's basically 2 kinds of huckleberry pickers. People that go up in the woods with their milk gallon and try to get 1.5 gallons or 2 a day. And then people that take it really professionally and it's their vocation, and they use equipment and they get a lot. So here, Josh, Tanner, and Garrett, they've been bringing me a lot of great berries. They're in that second category where it's really a job for them. So tell me, Josh, when did you get into this? How long you been at it?
Since I was born, I'm pretty sure. My family's been doing huckleberries our whole lives. We have set up camp every year when I was little, so and I haven't stopped.
And where are you from? Where'd you
Libby.
grow up? Libby. Yeah, there's some great pickers out in Libby. Yeah. And what kind of picker do you use?
George Shaw himself made my huckleberry picker.
George Shaw himself. Would you be willing to show it to the people? No?
Yeah.
Now, what's the most you've ever gotten in a day?
24 gallons.
24 gallons. All right. How about you, my
And
friend?
I think we were drinking by noon.
Drinking by noon.
Yeah, I'd say right around that 24, 25 gallons, 5 gallon buckets.
Yeah, is that before cleaned or after?
That was
pretty good berries. I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, that was in middle season, so I mean, you might lose an inch or inch and a half in a bucket in the middle season.
So Garrett, I know that this is your first year picking.
Yep.
How did you get roped into this vocation?
Oh man, my boy Tanner here, and, he's been doing it for a number of years. Tell me about it, and I just wanted to get out in the woods more and live a more simple, free, minimalist life. More down to the earth kind of living. And huckleberries just sounded great. I never even considered it before, and after the first day out, I was hooked.
And I know that you have an aptitude for it. You were raking them right in.
Yeah. I guess it's in my blood. I guess.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's been very impressed. We've been very impressed.
I've been picking for 30 years. He picked as many berries as I did this weekend.
No kidding. Isn't that something?
I gave up Wednesday though.
So I know you guys have been bringing me a lot of berries all season long. How much do you reckon you make in a season picking huckleberries?
This is the worst year I've ever had.
Yeah, it's a terrible year this year. Yeah, it varies quite a bit.
I don't think I hit the 100-gallon mark this year.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a late start, and then it was really sparse berries. There was a lot of issues we had to overcome. With the bugs up on the reservoir, sparse berries up on everywhere we went.
Everywhere.
Yeah. It was 2 weeks late. And,
it was more knowledge this year than anything because we've
covered a lot of ground and only picked a few berries.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna have any trouble next year.
So I myself have run into a lot of bear in my backcountry hiking, in my fishing, and I've been charged by a grizzly and everything, but I've never really had a bear encounter in a patch. I don't know if I'm picking in good country and there's plenty of huckleberries so they're not competing or what, but how about you? Have you ran into a lot of bears picking?
Yeah, just the other day here outside of town we were picking, and heard something up above me and looked up in a clear cut, and there was a smaller grizzly bear that was just coming through eating berries, and I picked a little bit. The berries were the best I'd seen all year. Just had to fill my raker. as quiet as I could, and then I realized it was probably a bad idea and decided to work my way down the mountain as quietly as I could.
Wow, and what did he do?
I think he just sat down there in the brush. I think he was just content eating berries, didn't mind me at all. But I know he did hear me leaving, but he let me go. So.
The bears are scared of me, so I've never.
Are they?
I've never encountered a bear in a huckleberry patch. They're scared of me.
We run into them fairly often, but as long as you're minding your own business and they're minding their own business, they're not going to stop eating berries or come attack you.
Where I would think the difficulty would come on a really bad year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or right now when the berries are wined out in places, and you run into a drunk grizzly or something.
Yeah. Oh, really? You could actually run into a drunk grizzly because the berries are getting wined out.
That's what Dennis Norsebaum tells me.
Yes, that's something. Any activity with Sasquatch? Or?
No, not in these parts.
Not in these parts, not that I can say for sure.
Not for sure. Huh?
Always looking though. Always looking.
Well, we appreciate you, Mountain Adventurers, Miners of Purple Gold, and thanks for letting me have
thank you.
We love it. Thank you.
Well, these guys are real warriors, and I really, really appreciate them. It's really hard work, and I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you.
I have a unique relationship with my pickers in that I try to care for them.
Now, me and Stanford here, we've picked a lot of the same country. In fact, I've picked Quintonkin ever since I was little. And he was up there picking Quintonkin, and he said he had one stand up on him.
5 years old.
You were only 5 and one stood up on you.
Yeah.
Wow. Was it close?
40 yards.
Close enough, huh?
We were in his berry patch. That's all I know.
That's pretty good fishing, that Quintonkin.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a place where there's a waterfall on Quintonkin?
No.
My dad was a scoutmaster, and he told us they found a waterfall on Quintonkin, and it was phenomenal fishing, and we searched and we never found it.
Woods, and I run across where a grizzly, I'm assuming, had buried a white-tailed deer. I could see his legs sticking out, so these berries are very valuable.
They're very valuable, and you saw a couple bears the last couple of days?
I saw 2 bears yesterday, black one, and beautiful bears, both of them, though.
That's cool. Well, thanks.
I'm glad I didn't see the grizzly.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't too.
Yeah.
The bears are right in there. This is my buddy Scott Downing. We were on that road together where we had to smash in with our pickup.
There and picking away, and all of a sudden I looked up, and there's this big old grizzly bear just standing up looking at me.
Bears love huckleberries. I think you even hike to your picking spot.
I do. It's tough. I hike up these Swan Mountains. You know, that's 4,200 feet to the top, but it's about halfway up, and it sure warms you up at the start of the day. It's a workout up that mountain trail, and then right and left, up and down the slopes, and then I run back down. I hike up mountains and I run down them. Gravity on my side.
Isn't that something?
He also picks huckleberries together with me, and he had a pretty good little bear story. He had a little love affair going on with this bear. Why don't you tell us about that one?
So yeah, I was living out in the woods in a tent, and the bear came through my camp and tore it all apart one night. And then so I moved my camp to a different area about half a mile away. I hear the bear still come around sometimes, but I just make some noise to try to scare it away, so it know I was in there. And one day I stayed with someone else the night again instead of staying out in my tent. Actually, it wasn't a tent now. I built this brush shelter. And
your budget tent, Montana
tore that one apart too. I think it tore about 3 camps apart that summer.
Wow, it tore your whole budget shelter apart.
I think it tore 2 tents apart, and then I built that brush shelter, and it got some of my other stuff, but it didn't tear the.
You were tired of buying tents, so you got a brush shelter. Well, at least he didn't have a big cash outlay in that one. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of year for Mary and I to do our huckleberry expedition. So my buddy told me about a spot way up here on the Hungry Horse Reservoir. Lester wanted some of my Raisin Bran. So we've got about a 60-mile drive, and then we should be into prime picking. Ooh, look at that osprey's nest. Oh, this is gonna do my soul so much good to get out in the wilderness. Washboard Road and beautiful mountains. One of the more remote and memorable streams up here for me is Quintonkin. It's way up here, and it's wild country that I've found some good huckleberry picking in and some really good fishing. The beautiful South Fork of the Flathead leading out to the Bob Marshall Wilderness. I found a good log to walk here, and we'll see if there's a spot. This is about all I'm finding up here, up around the reservoir. Some good looking berries, but pretty sparse. Well, you just keep moving through, and hopefully on the other side, you know, there's going to be a little better patch. Well, when I went Sunday with my wife, I was going through the woods, and I reached down, and my phone that I had been recording with was gone. But we got some 300-foot tapes. Here's my helper, Princeton. That looks like a fun way to spend the day, doesn't it? And we cordoned off sections of where I had been picking, and with God's blessing, the very first section we cordoned off about 10 feet wide, going through there with the light, and I spotted the phone. Yay! And then we found a good spot to pick, and I was able to get a gallon of some of the prettiest frosty blue berries I've ever seen. Well, I just got back from the mountains huckleberry picking, and I picked a gallon. Here at my business, Willow's Huckleberry Land, we have everything made out of real huckleberry. A lot of these places you get huckleberry candy made in China, and you look and there's not a trace of huckleberry in it. But here, there's real huckleberry stuff and real huckleberries. Somebody came in and said, man, I went to about 10 shops and I couldn't find one with a huckleberry, but you guys have real huckleberry all over. But I gotta show you how beautiful these huckleberries that I picked are. As you can see, there's a rich bouquet of colors, from the frosty blue ones to the magenta to the classic purple ones, and some good sized ones too. I think if anybody is qualified to answer this question, it is me, because my father, James Lake Willows, came to Hungry Horse, Montana, helped log out the Hungry Horse Reservoir, helped build the dam, and then there was a big motel in town that he converted into what was called the Willows Honeyberry Farm. And he kept snooping over at Eva Gates' Huckleberry Preserves at Big Fork how she was doing it. And my father became the second person in the world to begin making huckleberry jam, huckleberry pie, and all these what he would call wildwood delicacies. At age 5, I began working in the establishment. My job was to swat flies for a penny a piece. And by age 6, I was a dishwasher. In those days, I would watch this Native American family, Tom Smith and his 16 kids, all bring great big 5-gallon buckets of huckleberries in for my father to buy. And many people would buy them, and we'd put them in gallon jars and sell them for $5 a gallon. My dad pioneered the recipes and ran that establishment for over 30 years. My dad ran the Honeyberry Farm, which is now the Huckleberry Patch, for over 30 years. And then he got some grandiose schemes about having a playhouse and a college and everything. And so he lost the business, and the bank got it, and others took over from there. I was a young missionary in Jamaica and didn't have the interest at that time. But when others bought the business from the bank and took it over, they never got the recipes.
The original recipes have still been with us all this time. So when I came back from being a missionary, I started a new little huckleberry business in the carport of my trailer with the original recipes. And it has grown and prospered to become Willow's Huckleberry Land, or Huckland for short. And our specialty is the delicious huckleberry. And miners of these black pearls, this purple gold, this succulent mountain delicacy, go up into the mountains each summer for me. I have about 180 pickers, and they go up among the bears and the wildlife, and they get these huckleberries for us.
Okay.
So in this special, I am going to explore for you the beautiful world of the wild Montana huckleberry and the people who pick it.
See? It's there.